Cheezi, you good in there? Cheezi, if you're jacking off in here, I swear to God. Cheezi? What are you doing, bud?
Musical! Wait, this intro, we're coming back from a 4-month hiatus, Stoogie. This intro's gotta be great, good even. We're gonna pull out all the stops, Stoogie. We're gonna do a musical, Stoogie. It's gonna be a musical. This is how we... What?
You really have to come up with a complicated intro to every single video? Locations, green screen, musical numbers. All these bells and whistles are great, but they're not why people watch your show. Having all this stuff here and making the video unnecessarily huge and long, like my cock, is just ostracizing people who may be interested in your content but don't want to devote a large chunk of their time towards investing it.
I guess you're right, Stoogie. I guess maybe bigger isn't always better. Let's talk about the Game Award!
Kick this bitch down here and ready to make
Hey, are you playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now?
No.
Are you playing that? Are you playing Baldur's Gate? You're playing Baldur's Gate 3? Are you aware that you are killing AAA gaming? Are you aware that you are shooting it in the back of the head like Lassie, like some poor unfortunate dog? You're putting it down in the street. Are you aware that you're doing this?
I'm a naked Argonian.
Hi, I'm Cheezi, and I don't have an intro. I also don't have a degree in video game development, but you know what I do have? Terrible opinions. I think that Baldur's Gate 3 is going to spell the end of the AAA gaming industry. Whoa, Cheezi, I hear all of you saying at home. We all know that you're incredibly handsome and intelligent, but that's blowing things a little bit out of proportion, isn't it? I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 is a great video game. It deserved to win Game of the Year. Oh yeah, for sure, I agree.
So, what?
No, yeah, 100%. Baldur's Gate 3 is a technical marvel. I mean, it's a huge production that's been in the oven for years, and it came out a full-course meal with some of the best narrative structure, game design, graphical quality, and immersive storytelling I think I've ever seen.
Wow. That's crazy. Fuckhead, this is gonna be like your shortest video ever. And you've dodged getting a huge amount of hate for making this. Can't believe it. Guess that really was clickbait.
And it's also why gaming is dying.
You motherfucker.
Oh, what? You thought I was baiting you all? You thought I was gonna post a thumbnail that says something to the tune of Baldur's Gate 3 is killing gaming, and I was gonna pull the animated rug out from under you? You don't know me at all, do you? Yes, Baldur's Gate 3 is amazing, but it's also one of the most dangerous, radioactive, and unenviable pieces of media ever created. It's a fireball in a crowded room level of a destructive precedent to set, and it winning the Game Awards might very well be the final nail in the coffin for AAA gaming as an industry.
Well, that's it. You've done it now. You know I live here too, right?
If I'm going to explain why this insane take is borderline clairvoyance in nature, on the level of the Twin Towers not being included in Deus Ex's version of New York,
that was an accident.
So are you. If I'm going to explain this, I'm going to have to go back in time a bit to the year 2010 and their respective Game Awards. Oh, I wonder who that could be. Oh, hey look, an angry mob!
And I'm moving.
The Game Awards has been a staple of the institution known as Gamers since the year 2014.
I can't understand anything you're saying. Mario Kart!
Before that, it was famous for being a slap in the face to gaming as a culture as far back as 2003.
But they will also be revealing winners all over their bodies. And the winner is... all of us. This is what's...
Each year, a series of games would be nominated by the public and voted on to determine which one was considered the ultimate game of that year. This is a tradition that can be seen in all forms of media, because if there's one thing the American public loves, it's unanimously attempting to decide whose sincere endeavor towards artistic expression is better than everyone else's in merit and design.
Bold, fresh, bordering on the sentimental. There is a deep inner turmoil buried under the brushstrokes of this piece, and the childlike presentation does nothing to hide the deep inner sadness that you have conveyed beneath this artwork. You have come a long way in a very short amount of time at this college, and I can see your definite improvement in both style and the emotional depth that is on display in this, dare I say it, work of art. Four out of 10. Oh, nuts.
There were many incredible events that happened at the Game Awards, many memorable moments, many...
That's a good one, that's a good one. Oh, I'm gonna get some big V-Bucks for this, okay? That's a Fortnite reference.
Mr. Kojima had every intention of being with us tonight. He would not be allowed to travel to tonight's awards ceremony.
I really want this shit. Oh my god.
That dragon cancer.
This is inspired by one of my absolute favorites, the original Police Academy.
Is more deserving of this trophy because it's done so much to bring games into life. I'm going to give you the microphone in a second. Yeah.
I've seen that. I think I want to nominate this award to my Reformed Orthodox Rabbi Bill Clinton. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so not all of them were winners, but there's one particular Game Awards celebration that I want to look at that may shed a different light on the most recent Game Awards and its Game of the Year successor. Today, we're going to be talking about the Game Awards back in 2010, and more specifically, the winner of that particular year.
What's the singing and the dancing? What the f*** think this is, the Tonys? Hi, I'm Neil. Welcome to Family Hour on Spike. Can we get this cleaned up? I got a show to host.
See, the Game Awards is more than just a glorified commercial with poorly written comedy skits.
Kinda like your shitty season 2 pilot.
Hey, that wasn't a glorified commercial.
You take offense to that, but not to me saying that was poorly written.
Shut up. The Game Awards is like a high scoreboard at the end of a video game. It lays it all out on the table, showing you the best of what gaming had to offer that year, and then elects a project that deserves to be remembered as a historical landmark, and, more importantly than any of this, is a herald of things to come.
Back in 2010, when it was still known as the Spike Game Awards and making fun of gamers was still mainstream.
Hey roommate, what you doing? You're playing video games? Wow! Oh, that's amazing, right? Do you know that makes you a terrible person? Huh? Did you know that?
What the fuck does that mean?
Did you know that playing video games makes you a bad person, roommate?
Why does that make
it makes you terrible? It's because Samuel L. Jackson said so. He said so at the Spike Lee Game Awards in 2007. He showed a woman with her butt out, and said that, hey, gamers are dumb. So you're dumb. You're a gamist?
That's not
You're a self-proclaimed gamist, roommate? You're a gamist? You know that makes you bad? That makes you a scourge on society? You're a wart on the foot of the American public, is what you are. You're a terrible human being. You should feel bad.
6 hours
You
a day.
swine. You sack of Dale deli meat. You pile of refuse.
You look like you have a vitamin D.
You look like a nerd. You're a nerd. Nerd.
You do the stupidest
Nerd.
You literally fist puppets all day. What are you talking about?
Is that it?
The competition for Game of the Year was fierce. Halo Reach and Mass Effect 2 were some of the biggest spacefaring adventures we had seen in video games up until that point. Call of Duty Black Ops and God of War 3 were setting new standards for their respective franchises, and Rockstar was busy proving they were more than just the GTA people with their smash hit, definitely a one-off cowboy adventure, Red Dead Redemption.
I got a plan, John. You always got a plan, Dutch. This is a good one.
But as Neil Patrick Harris opened that envelope, what he and the rest of that audience didn't realize was that they were about to change the landscape of gaming forever.
Red Dead Redemption.
A lot of people said we were crazy to make a Western game. So we want to dedicate this award tonight to everyone in the video game industry who's crazy enough to do something different. Okay? Thank you.
The winner is Dragon Age Inquisition, The Witcher 3,
God of War,
Sekiro,
Elden Ring.
Okay, Garrett Gygax. I see what you're driving. So the Game Awards winner back in 2010 was an open world title. And moving forward, we saw a lot more open world titles that won that award.
It's not just that, Stoogie. It's more like studios took the hint from Game of the Year 2010 and saw that as a symbol of what we wanted to see in gaming moving forward. More open world games with hours and hours of gameplay to explore. It became the industry standard. Nowadays, in the AAA sphere, unless the phrase open world game is somewhere in your elevator pitch, you might as well walk out and hope that the dimension door doesn't hit you in the butt on the way out.
Sorry, what?
You know, the phrase, hope the door doesn't hit you in the butt on the way out.
Okay, A, you're using it wrong. And B, you said dimension door.
That's because I gestured to my bedroom door, which is a portal to other dimensions.
Okay, but that's just our door. Not every door can.
Dude, your semantics are becoming pedantic. Why did I think having an animal friendship was a good idea?
You say that as if you had a choice.
Well, I didn't. And neither do we when it comes to the Game Awards. The very next year after Rockstar took home the title, 4 out of the 6 Game of the Year contenders were open world games. It was like the plane had shifted, and now that was all we were getting out of AAA gaming moving forward.
Right. So what? More open world games being made. How the fuck is that a bad thing?
I'll get to that, but in order for me to explain, first we're gonna have to talk about Larian Studios is a development team stationed in Belgium and is one of the foremost developers of fantasy RPGs. They're famous for their work on games in the Divinity franchise, and of course who could forget their work on the groundbreaking interactive experience known as Catnet Kick. It's incredible. It was based off this television program that was only released in Belgium, and...
Please, for the love of God, don't do this.
Do what?
The fake out. This is such an overplayed joke.
Stoogie, I'm sure I have no idea what you're talking about.
We're talking about Larian Studios and the Game Award. That's literally one game you could be ramping up to, and it's not fucking Catnet King.
Alright, you're right, Stoogie. Jeez, you really don't know how to let a bit breathe, do you?
Says the guy who shoves his bits down his audience windpipe.
Okay, I suppose I'll get to the point then.
Finally, we're gonna talk about
The LED Wars is an RTS title that was released in 1996. Of course we're talking about Baldur's Gate 3. If you don't know what it is by now, then some annoying friend of yours with a ridiculous t-shirt collection and far too infrequent use of soap is probably going to tell you about it.
Crown, you're finally clean! You're finally clean!
The Baldur's Gate franchise itself dates back to 1998, when BioWare developed the original Baldur's Gate as a point-and-click isometric RPG title that used Dungeons & Dragons rules and world building as a framework to tell its story. It's amazing how video games allow you to do things you can't do in real life.
You all arrive in the catacombs of doom. You're surrounded by enemies, Roll me initiative.
Okay. I can't!
Can we move on? We've been on his turn for 20 minutes.
I would like to roll to seduce Dixie's character.
Roll with disadvantage then.
Guys, I'm DMing, remember?
It's burning my hand!
Want to play Mario Kart instead?
I could go for some Mario Kart, actually. The franchise name would be passed from developer to developer over the decades, spanning multiple game genres and expansions until Larian Studios would take the torch from BioWare, starting in 2017 as development for Baldur's Gate 3 began. It spent nearly 3 years in early access before it was finally officially released last year, and oh, what a release! The game is massive, with sprawling decision trees that can affect the story no matter what decisions you make, good or evil, and it has some of the best graphical quality I've ever seen. It's just a brilliant game. And it was made by a studio designed from the ground up to build games like this. A literal match made in heaven.
Yeah, it's a great fucking game.
Which is why the studio filed for bankruptcy at least 10 times since it was founded.
Sorry, come again?
Developing the massive sprawling RPGs that Larian was dedicated to building from the word jump nearly killed the studio. Game design is difficult. Shocking to grasp, I know, but it's true. So many people working together on everything from writing to programming to graphic design. Most AAA studios hire hundreds, even thousands of people to work on these massive creative endeavors. Larian started with 3.
Hey, that's how many you started with working on this show. That's funny. Wait.
We're out of money.
Larian Studios is obviously not the first to work on an expansive video game RPG, of course. BioWare, another studio that is famous for its work on the Baldur's Gate franchise, as well as pioneering franchises like Mass Effect and Dragon Age, saw multiple people leave the studio around the time Andromeda was being completed, and has received flack for being too corporate from industry veterans who feel pressured to check boxes instead of creating something truly fun to make and develop. Andromeda was a huge letdown in a number of fields, and while Dragon Age Inquisition was far more successful, both were developed under intense amounts of stress and pressure from EA and the studio, with the developers that worked on both coming out about the cycle of crunch that led to a lot of pressure to meet deadlines. Video games are already hard enough to make. Developing a video game as a process is currently unsustainable, with long hours and poor working conditions leading to developers developing side effects of PTSD. If your workplace is described as an active war zone and workplace casualties are common, you may want to reevaluate how you're doing business.
He likes the game fine, you Larian fan fucks. Get off mine.
That's probably fine.
But Cheezi, Larian Studios has received intense financial success as a result of putting so much love and effort into this game. They're doing better than ever before. No sign of bankruptcy here, that's for sure.
That's true, but that's because they're working on something they want to make. If you're passionate about the project you're working on, that passion shows, and the love for your art can be felt in every minute of gameplay. If you don't care about what you're making, it's equally apparent, and game players will be able to tell.
I just had to kill like 12 people.
Huh? That's interesting, Stoogie. Get any cool skins?
Huh? Like, off the corpses?
No? Well, then you probably don't have the premium battle pass then.
Wait, what? Are you listening? There's an angry mob outside our house defending Larian Studios against your retarded ram.
That's what game companies want you to do these days, Stoogie. Spend as much money as physically possible on what they think will be the most marketable project their development teams can work on, regardless of the passion for the genre or whether the concept has merit!
Hang on. Is this another segue?
Let's talk about the Arkham games! Rocksteady is a gaming company that is famous for creating one of, if not the best action-adventure franchises in history, with a revolutionary combat system and one of the most iconic narratives ever written about the titular protagonist. The Arkham franchise is a defining member of the superhero zeitgeist for a number of reasons, and when it was announced back in 2021 that they would be releasing Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and that it would be a direct follow-up to the Arkham universe, fans of the original trilogy, yes, I said trilogy.
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting. This is awful in every way.
We're hyped beyond belief. And I mean, who wouldn't want more of this? No. No, please. No, this isn't right. It can't. No. No! Multiple delays and leaks later, and the horrible truth was revealed. Rocksteady had made the insane pivot from crafting linear story-driven superhero action games featuring iconic and groundbreaking combat to developing a mindless live service looter shooter with Arkham storytelling and charms stapled onto it. This was not a creative decision made by Rocksteady. This does not ooze passion and love for what they're making. This Metropolis feels like the final resting place of Rocksteady's actual next intended project, a Superman game, teased in Wayne Tower and Arkham Knight, but the WB never greenlit. Instead, they favored a cash grab games as a service money pit, with Rocksteady's beating heart buried under the floorboards, barely able to seep out in the occasional cutscene or gameplay moment.
So you're comparing Baldur's Gate 3 to that shit show?
No, Stoogie, you're not listening to me.
That's because you keep bouncing around with your points like a boomerang with a fucking haste force.
Don't you mean Speed Force?
Yeah, I do. Why? What did I say?
Well, look, Stoogie, do you want me to spell it out for you? Fine.
Well, spell it out then. Get it? Spell? Because this whole video has been full of names of
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye, Captain!
I can't hear you!
Aye, aye, Captain!
Who lives in a pineapple under the sea?
SpongeBob SquarePants!
Absorbent and yellow and porous is he?
SpongeBob SquarePants!
If not idle nonsense, be something you wish.
SpongeBob SquarePants!
And drop on the deck and flop like a fish.
SpongeBob SquarePants!
Ready? SpongeBob SquarePants! SpongeBob SquarePants! SpongeBob SquarePants! SpongeBob SquarePants!
I first played a video game when I was 5 years old. This was back in the year 2004. And this was that video game. Gaming has obviously changed a lot. I put a lot of hours in this game. I beat it multiple times. I got the THQ Nordic remake, which was really good. I mean, obviously nothing can compare to these graphics. I mean, look at that. Wow. How SpongeBob, Squidward, he's so scared of the jellyfish. Oh, now he's got a bandage on his nose. What comedy. Alright. Nothing is wrong with gaming. I feel like that, and I'm doing the same thing with this video by, like, putting a clickbaity title on the video, like, AAA gaming is dying, or, you know, this and that, but really, that was just to get your attention. I'll be honest about that. I don't actually believe that. I don't think that in the next year or two or three, $1 billion industry like that is going to just up and go the way of the dinosaurs. I think it makes too much money. I think it has too much staying power. I think too many people adore video games for them to just for big companies to just give up on that cash cow entirely, or rather, I think that AAA developers are too smart to let themselves become extinct. The pressures that are put on people who make games today are not the pressures that were put on the people who made this game, or the people who made the original Earthbound, or the people who made a lot of our favorite N64, SNES titles. People want you to make games that will last forever. Attention span is the new currency, and developers want you, your game, your project, and by developers, of course, I mean publishers, not the indie developers who are out here making games for the passion of it, but people who are building these AAA companies, the CEOs and the executives and the boardrooms and the council, the secret, inscrutable council of people with very large pocketbooks. They want your game to grip people's attention. We saw it with Elder Scrolls. People poured countless hours into that game, just doing every side quest, finding every little secret they could. And Skyrim, I mean, it won Game of the Year. It proved that the market was out there for huge games, and along with Rockstar's Red Dead Redemption, both very, maybe not similar in tone and structure, but very similar in playtime, showed that those big games, people want them. And I think that that's fine. I think that that's good, even. That there's a market for those games that are these expansive worlds that you can explore and sink your teeth into. But for every, like I said in the video, for every Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, for every Oblivion, for every Red Dead Redemption 2, there's a Gotham Knights, there's a Forspoken, there's games that are so by committee it's not even funny, and that are designed to just take up your time without really giving you any of what made Skyrim, The Witcher, Red Dead great. I want you to guess how many hours I've played this game, and I want you to put it in the comments. Go ahead, do that right now. Pause the video, guess how many hours I've poured into this game, put it in the comments section, and then wait like 3 seconds. I guess you wouldn't have to pause the video if I'm just gonna wait 3 seconds. I'll just tell you, it's thousands. I've spent thousands of hours on this game throughout my lifespan. It has had staying power in my life. And I've played it on multiple console generations too, because they released a remake of it. I mean, I have this game for GameCube. I know it released on PS2, but I never played it on PS2. I think it released on Xbox 360 as well, but I'm not sure. And then THQ Nordic made a remake, and I played that game. Beat it twice, that version. I'm literally barely looking at the screen, and I know where all the things are that I need to go to get stuff. It's just, this game is a huge part of my life, and it was because not only was this one of the first games, not only was this the first video game I ever played, this was a video game about the first show that I ever watched as a kid. Put it to you like this. This game didn't need a massive open world, side quests, expansive amounts of content to grab my attention. You can beat this game in an afternoon. You can beat this game in, I think my record is 6 hours. And yet every day after school I would hop on this game and I would just go through from the beginning because I could never get past the damn Robot Patrick boss fight. I would start this over from square one, watch the opening cutscene, laugh. I would play through Jellyfish Fields, I would play through Goo Lagoon, I would play through Downtown Bikini Bottom. I never quite finished that one's quest because the Sandy swing section right at the end really just threw me for a loop. Fight Robot Sandy and then skip Rock Bottom and go straight for the Sand Mountain skiing slide sections because those are the best parts of the game and I won't hear a debate about it. And I would just play those over and over and over again. Unlock Robot Patrick, start over. I did that every day after school for 5 years, give or take. I probably logged more hours in this game than I have in all of the Arkham games combined. And that's because it's a good game, made by a studio who let a group of developers be passionate about the subject matter, the source material, and most importantly, the game they were creating. And now here I am sitting in front of a camera, 20 years later, making a video about it. Cool. SpongeBob is great. Battle for Bikini Bottom is great. The developers cared about it. What does that have to do with Larian Studios and the Game Awards? Well, it kind of doesn't. I've lied to you. It kind of doesn't. Talking about Baldur's Gate 3 was really just an excuse to talk about large games. And not just large games. Not just big, massive titles with 500 plus hours of gameplay, but specifically what large games means to studio executives. When you're thinking about a large game, you're thinking about, I don't know, that Baron of Blood side quest in Witcher 3, I don't think that's his name. Or you're thinking about, how you can just adopt a cat in Cyberpunk 2077 and it's a total optional thing that you could overlook if you aren't looking for it. Or you're thinking about how, in Red Dead Redemption 2, you can find that family in the middle of the woods that are cannibals that ate their parents. And you can choose to deal with them however you like. And if you throw the lady in the pit, she has all kinds of dialogue. And she talks about like, oh, not the pigs, or something like that. That's what you're thinking about. You're not thinking about the fact that the game took 500 hours. That's not what you care about. You care about the fact that you found something in that game that was so nestled in there, so hidden. You found a diamond in that, like hours and hours and hours of content that felt special to you, that surprised you. It excites you to be able to explore a game that obviously so many people poured so much time into making so long just to hide little things in the nooks and crannies for you to find. That's what's exciting about Baldur's Gate 3, is that you can approach a problem pretty much however you want in that game. There are so many little side stories and things and ways of like dealing with situations that you would just completely overlook if you weren't paying attention. If you don't save Volo in that game, you miss out on getting a very high, powerful, magical eye at the beginning of the game that can help you throughout the rest of it. But you can only do that by saving him, and then going to your camp, and then talking to him, and then you have to let him basically demolish your eye, and you have like multiple levels of dialogue tree to go through where you can just opt out at any point and you won't get the special artifact. It's stuff like that that makes those huge games memorable and meaningful, not the fact that they're huge.
That's not what's important. What's important is the love and care and attention to detail that is put inside of it. This game, right here, this game that I'm playing, has just as much attention to detail, has just as much intricate little nods and references to the show that it's based off of. I mean, his idle animations alone are all references to episodes of the show. This game is just as, pardon my use of nomenclature, huge as any of the AAA games coming out today. Maybe not because you personally can find 500 plus hours of fun and enjoyment out of it. I can. Maybe you can't. But it's not because it has a runtime of 100 plus hours. It's because the person who developed it gave a shit. Moving forward as more studios kill themselves trying to meet that expectation. As more AAA developers continue to shovel shit like coal into a furnace into our mouths. As we get more Forspokens, more Gotham Knights that aren't better, just longer. As this problem gets worse, the next time you, the aspiring game developer that is watching this video, the next time you walk up into an executive's office with your game pitch in hand that you've spent countless sleepless nights slaving away at, and you set it down in front of them, and they tell you to turn around and walk out because the terms like Baldur's Gate 3 or Larian style, when none of those are in your pitch, you need to ask yourself, didn't we ask for this?